You have dog crap in your system.
This is the Baseball Hour with Tony Mazz.
They did nothing this offseason.
Brought to you by Bigelow Tea, Corona, Gravely Zero-Turn Lawnmowers, Jackson Lumber, Team Impact, Blue Moon Belgian White, and FindMassMoney.gov. On 98.5 The Sports Hub.
A lot of Giant fans here. They travel pretty well. 2 down, nobody aboard, and the 0-2 home. And lofted to right field, but Slater there to make the catch. And the Giants win the ball game by a final score of 3-1. Red Sox had their 4-game win streak busted here today. They wind up with a 4-2 homestand.
Oh, they couldn't take advantage of some walks early on from Harrison, and this one he put some guys on, and they just really couldn't deliver with guys on base. But he's still 4-2. He took both series. I think 4-2 homestand you're happy with. You just had an opportunity for that sweep, but they threw the ball real well. You got to give them credit.
You do. And the Red Sox are going to see some serious pitching. They're going to give it to on this road trip that starts in Minnesota tomorrow night with Tanner Houck on the bump. Final again, the Giants 3, Red Sox 1.
So there you have it. Red Sox lost today. Overall, a series win against the San Francisco Giants, 4-2 homestand. Red Sox 18-14 on the year. Even I can do that math. 4 games over 500, and that's where we stand on May 2nd right now on the Baseball Hour. You want an opportunity to talk baseball? This is your chance to do it. With the Bruins playing Game 6 tonight, obviously it will be heavy Bruins, heavy Celtics with the Celtics in the playoffs as well. So you know the deal. This is your opportunity to talk baseball. Talk about a team that I think has been more compelling than I thought they would be. They have certainly exceeded my expectations for the first month of the year, and I certainly think they've probably exceeded your expectations too for the majority of the first part of this season. So it's McCarthy in for Mazz. You know the deal, 617-779-0985. If you missed today's day game, understand it. Maybe you're not as locked in. You lost this game because the bats didn't show up. Lou mentioned it there on the broadcast, some early walks from Harrison, the young lefty for the Giants. You had an opportunity in this game. It's one of those, right? It's one of those. Out of 162, this is not one that you get overly worked up about. Zach Kelly, who's a low-leverage guy for you, gave up 2 runs on 4 hits. One of those nights, one of those afternoons, you're going to have those losses over the course of the season. Doesn't worry me one bit. Today kind of felt like one of those days that you just try to piece together. Winkowski, who started the year in the bullpen for you starting, goes 4 1/3. You just kind of try and get the bullpen a lead, and you go from there, and that didn't happen. Oh, well. Ho-hum. But I would say today, even in defeat, is indicative of the good things going on for the Red Sox right now. You gave up 3 runs today, and you lost. 3 runs. One of those days at the ballpark. I think there are good things going on for the Red Sox. I think this is a good series. It was a good homestand for the Red Sox. And Alex Cora, after the game, tended to agree with me on that.
It was a great homestand. It wasn't better. It was great. So, yeah, we play good baseball. We pitch well. We play clean baseball. So, like I said, swimming at this level is very hard, and they're good. They have a good team. So now we got Minnesota, and we try to do the same thing on the road.
Series wins against teams that you are pretty much even with. I mean, the Red Sox are 18-14. The Giants are 15-17. You're kind of in the same spot, right? You're mediocre, middling teams. The Red Sox have been a little bit better than mediocre, but teams right in the middle of the league. Your talent isn't overwhelming, but there are a lot of teams like that in baseball, and the Red Sox and the Giants have been pretty much the same team for the last couple of years, very analytically driven. We don't need to, go down that road, I suppose, and, what the Red Sox have done in the last few years. But those are 2 teams that are very similar. You take 2 out of 3, you move on. That's a good series win for the Red Sox. It was a good homestand for the Red Sox. Jimmy Stewart, take a guess as to how many runs the Red Sox gave up on average in this 6-game homestand per game. How many runs per game they averaged allowed giving up on this homestand?
I would say 2 or less.
2.6. 16 runs in 6 games, and the majority of that was one bad outing against the Cubs where he gave up 7 runs. They have the best ERA in baseball, with a pitching staff that, to me, I think is nowhere near close to the best pitching staff in baseball. Would you agree with that assessment, Stu? Is this Red Sox pitching staff the best and most talented pitching staff in baseball?
Short answer, no. Long answer is because we just don't like the names that are attached with the idea of best pitching staff in Major League Baseball. If we're looking at the Mariners, probably one of those young pitchers, say Kirby, compares to what Cutter Crawford is doing.
Well, compares to what Cutter Crawford is doing, but I would take Kirby over Cutter Crawford any day of the week.
Yeah, but you're a biased, bitter Red Sox fan, so
we
have to disqualify that take.
I don't deny any of that. I mean, I am a bitter Red Sox fan.
But if Cutter Crawford were on another team, you'd be like, oh my gosh, the Red Sox need to get that young pitching prospect.
Fair. I think that's a fair assessment. Here's the thing,
but because he's on your team, Matt, you don't like him as much because you don't like the name.
I don't think the stuff is all that great. I don't think the stuff is elite, but the performance has been. And you know what? I'm okay with that, and I can understand that. And I actually think Cutter Crawford, who, by the way, has been, a good pitcher and has been trending not towards this. I mean, not the best pitcher in baseball. I mean, statistically, he's at the lowest ERA in baseball for the majority of the first month of the year. So, I mean, I don't think he's that guy. But do I think Cutter Crawford is a quality, solid major league pitcher? No doubt about it. Is he overachieving that a little bit? Yeah, but I'm okay with that. And here's why. I have two takeaways overall from the first month of the season, and they're both directly related to the pitching staff and the performance that the Red Sox have gotten out of the pitching staff. Far and away the best team ERA in baseball still here on May 2nd. The first takeaway is I'm going to enjoy it while it lasts. And you can say, Jimmy, that's because I'm a bitter Red Sox fan who always looks for the negative in things because at my core, I'm a Red Sox fan.
Exactly.
And that's the way Red Sox fans are at our core. You could say that that's the reason why, but I'm going to enjoy it while it lasts because they are overachieving right now. You would agree with that, right, Jimmy? Are they overachieving this pitching
it certainly
staff?
Feels like through the first 30 whatever games that they are. I mean, I'm not buying into the Tanner Hulk ace conversation yet, but I'm open to it. Like, if we get to the All-Star break, he's an All-Star, and he's pacing for 10 wins and a sub-2 ERA at the All-Star break, I'll start to think about it. And the other thing, too, is Crawford, Hulk, Whitlock, who's injured, they're all 28, and Bayo's 25. Usually the prime of pitching years is somewhere between 26 and 33.
Right. They're big league guys, and they're quality big league guys when they're healthy. I just don't think they're elite big league guys. But here's the thing.
Right now they are, Matt, and I can only look at the scoreboard. I am a slave to the scoreboard, if nothing else, Matt McCarthy.
I think you can overachieve in baseball for a long period of time. I think we see that often. And I think we're seeing it more and more with pitching staffs around baseball now, that if you have the right system in place, if you have the right pitching coach, if you have the right pitching infrastructure, which is a term we heard about a lot when Craig Breslow took over. If you have the right people in place with the analytics and the sports science and the right coach, whatever that is, I think you can overachieve for a long period of time. I think it's hard to do it over the course of 162, or it's harder to do it going into October, and I think this is something that the Rays run into every year. They consistently overachieve the talent and the name, the star power on their roster, particularly with their pitching staff. They consistently overachieve every single year and eventually get exposed late in the year or in October because they burn guys out or they're just not that good in the first place, whatever that may be. But you can overachieve for a long period of time if you have the right people in place. And that gets me into my second takeaway from the first month of the season, from this homestand, from this series against the Giants.
One other thing, Matt, before you move on to take two. You have people who are motivated in the coaching. Alex Cora is super motivated right now,
no doubt,
to overachieve from what his roster looks like and what the win projections were. Because he's either going to get paid by the Red Sox for his next contract, or he's going to go into free agency. And as I said first, when Dave Roberts fails as manager and doesn't win the World Series with the Dodgers, he'll go to the Dodgers. The other part of that is Andrew Bailey might be leveraging, trying to coach up everybody so that he gets to be manager of the Red Sox next year, not Craig Breslow, former teammate David Ross. So that's something else at play here, is you have motivated coaches in what is a Craig Breslow evaluation year trying to outdo what their expectations are.
There's no doubt that there's palace intrigue, right, about the future of the Red Sox. You know, a manager entering the final year of his contract, a new GM who now all of a sudden is bringing in an outside, analytically driven organization to conduct an audit of the Red Sox baseball operations. You bring Andrew Bailey here, who was the pitching coach of the Giants, and did a great job out there. So you wonder, wait a minute, why would he leave San Francisco, given the success he had out there?
He wanted to be on
Boston?
the East Coast. That's what everybody says.
Wanted to be on the East Coast, or does he want to be a manager, right?
Well, so there's that.
So does he recognize that Cora is on his way out? By the way, Andrew Bailey was a teammate of Craig Breslow's too. So there's that. There's the connection there. That kind of gets me into my second point about this. The first point is that you can overachieve for a long time in baseball. The second point is you can do that if you have the right people involved. And Andrew Bailey, Jimmy, is the right person to be the pitching coach of the Boston Red Sox. Craig Breslow, right now, given the limitations that this organization has coming from ownership, their inability to spend money, all of that, Craig Breslow, so far, has been the right person to be the GM of the Boston Red Sox. Breslow and Andrew Bailey, and Alex Cora certainly has a role to play in this too, but Breslow and Andrew Bailey are directly responsible for the Red Sox getting more out of this roster than they should be getting out of it. I am a Bresbro. That's my guy. They said he was going to come in and fix the pitching infrastructure, and there was a lot, we kind of joked about that. We poked fun at it, the way he talked in his opening press conference, but he talked about fixing pitching infrastructure. And since the moment he walked in the door, the Red Sox have started pitching. I don't think that's a coincidence.
And getting injured.
It's a good point, but let me ask you this, Jimmy.
Bayo, Whitlock, Pavetta, Isaiah Campbell, all injured.
Is Andrew Bailey getting Red Sox pitchers injured? Maybe. Before they get injured, they are overachieving or outperforming what they've done in years past. So are you getting more out of guys? Would you rather have a guy who's healthy? It sounds so callous, right? Would you rather have a guy who's healthy but has a 5 ERA?
Like Chris Martin.
Right. Or would you rather have somebody else who maybe gets hurt but overachieves? This is the Rays model.
Tell me what the depth,
churn and
depth
burn
of the roster looks like, and then I'll have a better answer for you.
So this is where I think it's going to eventually catch up with them. And this is why I don't think it's sustainable. I do think they're going to eventually burn through too many pitchers if these guys keep getting hurt.
Thank you.
But make no mistake about it, Jimmy. They would not be 18-14 if it weren't for Andrew Bailey coming in and having Tanner Houck throw breaking balls in the strike zone. This new philosophy, this new formula, don't throw your fastball, throw your breaking ball. Weak contact, put the ball on the ground, the Andrew Bailey thing. Yeah, maybe he's getting them hurt. But you know what? Would Tanner Houck have a 5 ERA right now, and would he be walking the world if it weren't for Andrew Bailey? He might be. Would Cutter Crawford have been one of the best pitchers in baseball for the first month of the season if not for Andrew Bailey? I don't think so. So it's a catch-22, right? Is he getting them hurt? He might be. But is he turning them into something that they're not? Something that they're better, some better version of themselves that they wouldn't reach without this? I think he is. I think it's undeniable. They should not be this good. They should not have the best ERA in baseball. They shouldn't have just given up 2.6 runs over the course of this past homestand. If it weren't for Bailey and it weren't for Breslow and their approaches to pitching, philosophy for pitching, all of that, the Red Sox would not be in this position. So say what you will about them getting hurt. They're 18-14 because of those guys. Andrew Bailey is my new god, and I am a Bresbro. 617-779-0985. Isn't it nice to have a GM who doesn't suck? I think that's nice. There was another example this week and an example of last night of why the Red Sox are in a better spot right now, because they have a GM who's willing to do something and who's willing to try to fix things and is willing to be open-minded about some things. We'll get into that next and a couple open phone lines for you at 617-779-0985. It's McCarthy in for Mazz on the Baseball app.
getting a physical earlier today, right? Like, so it's like nothing's official. All of a sudden, 40 minutes before the game, you're throwing on that uni number 2, introducing you guys. Been around the league a while, but to come out in game 1, at least get this knock, RBI, I feel like you're contributing. Like, that's like the toughest thing joining a new team. You want to feel like you're contributing to it. It's nice to get that first knock in RBI.
I do think that was a nice little moment for the Red Sox last night. Dominic Smith, first day with the team, picks up an RBI single. Just a small little moment over the course of 162 that I actually think does matter in the moment. I mean, you're going to forget about it. 3 weeks from now, I'm going to forget about it. A month from now, I'm going to forget about it. 6 months from now, I probably won't even remember that Dominic Smith played for the Red Sox, or a year from now, or whatever that may be. Because I don't have any, illusions of grandeur that, this guy's going to come in here and all of a sudden be an impact player for this team. He's had 2 good seasons, partial seasons at the big league level, and for the most part has been a journeyman. Other than that, has had some bad years in there, has struggled, all of those things. Had one really good year for the Mets in the COVID year, where he had a great little season for them in the shortened year. But other than that, he's bounced around and has struggled to find a home because in the end, he's just not that good a baseball player. But over the course of a long year, 162, I think a move like bringing in Dominic Smith means something to a clubhouse. And it's Matt McCarthy in for Mazz tonight. We got room for you, 617-779-0985. Because guys say, okay, the front office is trying here. And the Dominic Smith move, and the Garrett Cooper move as well earlier this week. Again, you might say, who? Garrett Cooper, Dominic Smith? Who are these guys, McCarthy? Journeyman big leaguers. Guys who belong in the league, have had some good years, have had some down years, bad years, you name it. There's a reason they're available. I'm not saying they're going to be great, but these guys have been in the big leagues for a little bit. They've bounced around, and they belong. They're not great baseball players, but they're there. They can help a team fill a spot for a week, 2, 3, whatever that may be. And the fact that Craig Breslow has been aggressive and has been urgent in the last week in trying to address and trying to fix first base in the absence of Tristan Casas, and you're not going to fully fix it, so fix is maybe too strong a word, but trying to address first base, I think that is such a change from what you would have experienced under Chaim Bloom. And I think that means something to a team that's overachieving. The message to the team is, we're going to go out, we're going to try and help you. This guy belongs in the big leagues. He's going to come in and play first base for us for a little while, and hopefully we can just not take on water and, weather the storm until Tristan Casas comes back. Maybe. And I'm not convinced he will come back anytime soon. But you go out and you do something and you try to address it. Chaim Bloom never would have done that. So this is a difference between Craig Breslow and Chaim Bloom. And I will give Craig Breslow credit for this. It's a low bar. Like, go out and try and acquire a big league player to play first base for you? Yeah. But Bloom never did that. When guys got hurt, his move was to, let's put somebody out of position and set it and forget it.
Or let's go get Pablo Reyes, who is DFA'd by the worst team in baseball.
Yep. And he's going to be our solution for the rest of the year and moving forward.
And I don't think he can play every day, Matt.
He certainly can't, according to Alex Cora and me and everybody who's ever watched Pablo Reyes. Bobby Dahlbeck was sent back to Worcester today. If this were Chaim Bloom, would Dominic Smith and Garrett Cooper be here, or would Bobby Dahlbeck be playing first base every day? Jimmy Stewart, what do you think?
I will not slander Bob. Bob would be here every day.
You can slander him all you want. What's he batting again?
I think it's a $137, but that's a fact, not a slander.
That's actually an improvement for Bobby Dahlbeck. I mean, I think when you mention his batting average, it's. But
he can catch the ball, and that's important to the Red Sox.
I'll say he played a decent first base, but Smith has played first base in the big leagues. He's fine. Cooper will be fine, whatever that may be. Yet a GM who is willing to go out and do a little small something, that's such an upgrade over what you've had. Such an upgrade. So I think it's a small little move over the course of a long season, but I think that matters. And I think Craig Breslow, so far, given the limitations, and we've addressed the ownership and all that, I think Breslow's done a good job since he took over. First-time GM, helping to fix the pitching, but even making little moves like this. He took a look at David Hamilton for a week playing shortstop and changed his opinion. He changed his thought. I mean, Breslow, I think, wanted Cedar Rafaela to keep playing center field because that's his long-term position with the Red Sox. But I think he changed his mind after watching a week of the Red Sox not be able to field the ball after Trevor Story went down, and he adjusted. He adjusted his mindset. If Chaim Bloom were still here, Jimmy Stewart, would Cedar Rafaela be playing center field or shortstop right now?
Center field.
Yep, because Chaim Bloom would not have adjusted, he would not have reacted, and he would have said, it's all about the future, right? We look ahead to the future. He was so focused on the future, he couldn't even make the little moves to bring in Jags. Journeyman guys like Cooper and Smith, guys like that, he couldn't even bring himself to do that. You have a GM who's actually trying to help the big league team here or there. It's pretty refreshing, if you ask me. 617-779-0985. Let's go to Justin in Shrewsbury. You're up first tonight with McCarthy and from Mazz. Hey, Justin.
Hey guys. Thanks for taking my call. So yeah, it is nice to have an upgrade from Bloom to Breslow now, but I mean at the end of the day, he's still kind of hindered by ownership, right? Mm-hmm. The GM couldn't really do so much when the ownership was one signing off on things, approving the budget for stuff like that. So it is an upgrade for sure, but as long as, this ownership group is still in charge of the Red Sox and they treat it as a business and not a top priority, how it should be treated, then, I mean, it's no really definite answer or confident answer you can say that they're going to, succeed. Obviously, Breslow could, kind of sway them, but that's going to, take some time. So I'm just kind of hear you guys' thoughts.
Justin, I agree. And, the worst part about these last 4 years for the Red Sox, 5 years, going back to 2018, is that the standards have been lowered. And, I mean, I'm guilty of that myself. I mean, Stu, I'm rolling in here tonight, and it's kind of Mr. Positivity. They're 18-14. It's been a good start to the year. I mean, I know the roster isn't, good enough to compete long-term, but, here I am. I'm enjoying, the Red Sox kind of winning on the margins and getting more out of guys than they should. And, I mean, I literally just spent 5 minutes praising the Boston Red Sox for signing Garrett Cooper and Dominic Smith. Like, what's happened to me?
What happened to you, Matt?
I've been brainwashed.
I mean, you have a catcher in Connor Wong who is going to be the gem of the Mookie Betts deal, hitting 366 with 1,000 OPS.
I mean, Wong's been great.
And he had a great defensive play last night.
Phenomenal. Such a good play. Like, for a catcher to have the athleticism to make that play, that was something else. That is a true highlight play. I was like, wow, that's pretty impressive. Now, listen, Wong's had a good start to the year. Wong had a good year last year. I mean, he's turning into a quality big league player. But that doesn't mean, again, let's not lower the standards here. That doesn't mean that the Mookie Betts trade was a success. Far from it. It's a disaster. You got one good player out of it, and that's fine. We can celebrate that while also acknowledging the failings of ownership, the failings of the organization for not retaining Betts, the failings of Chaim Bloom for not getting a single pitcher for a Hall of Fame player. I mean, it's a disaster. For ending up with Alex Verdugo and Jeter Downs as part of that deal. I mean, of course, it's not good. But the standards have been lowered, Jimmy. I mean, there's no doubt about it. And I'm, guilty of it right now for praising, what I see, the small little moves here. But that's kind of what we've been reduced to. And if I'm going to sit around and enjoy a baseball season the way I want to enjoy a baseball season, I want to sit down and watch a game every night and feel like I'm getting a competitive product. They're not a playoff team. They're not a World Series team, and none of that. I don't think they are. But I'm kind of happy and content. They're overachieving, and I'm getting a little something more than I thought I was going to get. Like, is that bad of me, Jimmy? Is it bad of me to have enjoyed this first month of the year?
Maybe for the talk show.
Well, I will not be a slave to the talk show, Jimmy. I can only be a slave to my own rational thoughts and emotions and my feelings as somebody who cares deeply about this organization. And I want to have a baseball game to watch every night, and the majority of the baseball games I've been able to watch this year have been worth my time. Last night was worth my time. Today was worth my time. They lose 3-1, but they pitched pretty well. It was a competitive ball game. It is kind of gross. What's happening to me? Help me, Jimmy, please. Talk some sense into me during the commercial break, please. Red Sox getting an addition that I'm excited about. This is way too positive. It's just not good. Not good at all. Quick update, then right back with you, and we'll get to this upcoming series with the Twins and the addition that the Red Sox are about to make. It's McCarthy in for Mazz on the Baseball Hour.
Sports Hub headlines.
The folks on YouTube are saying there's too much positivity without Mazz around. I don't know. I heard a pretty positive Red Sox segment from Mazz yesterday, too. What's happening to us?
We'll see how long that
There's
lasts.
something in the water here? What the hell's going on? It's concerning.
The Bruins will ruin any positivity in about
You're
an hour
right.
and a half.
You're right. Well, I mean, I need to direct any positive energy I have away from the Bruins because we all know how this is going to go tonight. Bruins, Maple Leafs, Game 6. 7:30 start here on the network tonight. Danton Heinen out. Austin Matthews out. Red Sox lost to the Giants 3-1 today. They head to Minnesota for a weekend set. Nick Pivetta, rehab start tonight in Worcester. Bobby Dahlbeck sent back to Worcester where he belongs. And Vaughn Grissom expected to join the team in Minnesota tomorrow. Patriots signing kicker Joey Slye today, kicked for Washington last year. Celtics closed out the Heat last night. They await the winner of the Cavs and Magic Game 6 of that series tomorrow with Cleveland leading 3-2. Pacers leading 3-2 over the Bucks. They'll play Game 6 tonight. Damian Lillard questionable in that one. Giannis doubtful. Game 6 between the Sixers and the Knicks tonight as well. New York leads that series 3-2. Headlines are brought to you by your local New England Honda dealers. I'm Matt McCarthy on Boston's Home for Sports. 98.5 The Sports Hub. Your next update, 30 minutes.
Stay tuned for more of the Baseball Hour on the Sports Hub. Be sure to tune in to the Baseball Hour with Tony Mazz every Thursday for the Between the Limes Baseball Report, brought to you by Corona, the official cerveza of Major League Baseball, for what to watch out for on the baseball diamond during the weekend. And be sure to enjoy the finer life of sports with Corona. Must be 21 plus. Relax responsibly. Corona Extra Beer, imported by Crown Imports, Chicago, Illinois.
Waiting for your electrical supplies during the day or sitting in traffic is for the birds. Use the GCE Night Train from Granite City Electric and get access to over 50.
Side in a little bit, getting you game ready for the Bruins and the Maple Leafs tonight. But Baseball Hour, it's your opportunity to talk baseball, obviously, in the height of the Red Sox, in the height of the Bruins and Celtics playoff season right now. Time now for the Between the Limes Baseball Report, brought to you by Corona, the official cerveza of Major League Baseball, with what to watch out for during this weekend's games. Enjoy the finer life of sports with Corona. Must be 21 plus. Relax responsibly. Corona Extra Beer, imported by Crown Imports, Chicago, Illinois. Guy I'm watching for is Vaughn Grissom. Coming off the injury list this weekend, obviously missing the first month plus of the season. The guy they got for Chris Sale. And this is going to be a storyline this week because I do believe that the Red Sox are in line to see Chris Sale in the Braves series, a midweek series they have against the Braves on Tuesday and Wednesday of this upcoming week. So Grissom's going to be in the lineup. Sale has pitched well for the Braves this year, so that's a storyline. And, this is a guy that, comes in highly touted, at least when it comes to his bat. Is this, a guy that they got from the Braves and swindled Atlanta a little bit and got a fixture in their lineup for the next 6, 7, 8 years, whatever that may be, obviously under team control for the next 6? Or did the Red Sox give up too early on Chris Sale? I don't believe that. I think they should have absolutely moved on from Chris Sale. They haven't missed him this year, even though they've got a million different injuries. If you think Andrew Bailey's hurting Red Sox pitchers now, imagine what he would have been like if he got his hands on Chris Sale, given how brittle he is and was, and I'm sure still will be in Atlanta. But Grissom's interesting. We don't know much about him. Obviously, you haven't seen him at all this year, so I'm fascinated to see if he can give this team anything, because they have not gotten much at second base this year. I'm not a Valdez guy. For somebody who's supposed to be more of a bat, he hasn't hit enough for my liking. This is going to be your everyday second baseman moving forward. I mean, I looked in the lineup today, and, again, I would like to think I follow the Red Sox every day. Games on in here while I'm on Felger and Mazz, so I'm not locked into every pitch. And I turned to Joe Murray, who's rolling in the studio, and I said, who the hell is Short? His name is Zach Short. He played second base for the Red Sox today. I have never heard of this human being ever before in my life.
Of course, he's an infield prospect coming from the Mets organization. Of course, he's related somehow to Gene Short, low ball too.
Thank you, Joe. Appreciate that. Career 171 hitter with a 567 OPS. So obviously that is not somebody over the course of a 4-year, in part, major league career. So that's not.
Of course, he was drafted by the Chicago Cubs in the 17th round in 2016 MLB Junior Amateur Draft from Sacred Heart University, which, of course, is in Fairfield, Connecticut. Of course, low ball 3.
Of course, Bobby Valentine, the athletic director, or was the athletic director at Sacred Heart, low ball 4. Whoever is on the mound, Jimmy, when you do your Joe, never really has much command. It's always low ball, too. So Vaughn Grissom going to be in the lineup for the Red Sox this weekend, which is certainly something worth watching. Because to me, the Red Sox need more impact right-handed hitters. I think they've gotten by. I think they've overachieved with this lineup. They had a good homestand outside of today. 1 run, 4 hits. You're going to have those days. But I think they need more impact right-handed hitters. With Story out, obviously O'Neill has been tremendous, but I think they have overachieved in the lineup, too. I mean, if you're looking at them, every single day, you've got Dahlbeck, who just got sent to Worcester, batting $130. You've got Rafaela, who has not been able to hit. You've got guys like Short and Valdez, at the bottom of these lineups. So just adding another major league hitter, and I think that's what Grissom is. That's what he projects to be. To me, is massive. I think this is a massive development for the Red Sox here entering this week, because they're going to need to start to hit a little bit more. And again, I think they've overachieved, when it comes to their offensive production. But I don't know how sustainable that is if you have hitters 6 through 9 every night with averages like Dahlbeck with 132 and a 377 OPS, Rafaela, who can't hit at this point, and whoever's been at second base, which offensively has been, close to nothing for the Red Sox. This keeps the David Hamiltons and the Enmanuel Valdezes away from the lineup, and hopefully gets a big league hitter in your lineup. So I think this is actually a sneaky, significant development for the Red Sox. Grissom coming back, Ref Snyder coming back, Abreu getting hot. All of a sudden, this lineup looks way better than I thought it was going to be 2 or 3 weeks ago. That's 6, 7, maybe 8 guys in a lineup who are maybe not great, but are professional hitters. Is Connor Wong going to continue to hit 351? No. But is he a professional hitter? I think he's proven that. Is Rob Refsnyder going to continue to hit 350 with an OPS of 1100? No. Is he going to hit lefties, though? He's proven he can do that. Is Tyler O'Neill going to continue to be one of the best hitters in baseball? No. But is he a good big league hitter? Has he shown that in the past? Yeah. All of a sudden, you're starting to put together a little bit of a better lineup. A better lineup than I thought you might be capable of putting together a few weeks ago. And instead of Dahlbeck, or instead of David Hamilton, or instead of Valdez, now all of a sudden we're talking about Grissom, Smith, Cooper. Huh. That's a big league lineup. Is it going to be the best lineup in the game? No. But are those big league guys? Yeah. I do think that's significant. 617-779-0985. Jimmy, I texted you a take last night. I texted you and Mazz a take that I want to get to. It's a weird take. It's an odd take. It's kind of a 15-year-old take. But I think it ties into what Andrew Bailey is doing for this pitching staff right now and the capabilities of this pitching staff moving forward. I have a hypothetical test case for you, Jimmy, that I will ask you about, and we will do that next with McCarthy and from Mazz on the Baseball Hour.
This is the Baseball Hour.
which is
Doubt it.
terrifying thought. I don't know. I have not heard Milliken calling himself a Bresbro, Jimmy. So I don't know if he loves Craig Breslow as much as me. This is, again, concerning that I'm even questioning whether Tyler Milliken or I love the nerdy GM more. This is, again, deeply concerning to me. I need to reevaluate some things, reevaluate my life, all that stuff. But we'll have to ask him tomorrow. I'll have to ask him, see where he stands on Craig Breslow. It's kind of been the theme of the show tonight. I think Breslow has done a really nice job. He's done a really nice job with this team, addressing some of the holes that have popped up, just to plug some of the holes. Garrett Cooper, Dominic Smith, just little small moves to add big league guys, even though they're not that good, but big league guys to send a message to the roster that you care about them, that you're going to try and win games, because Chaim Bloom never did that. I think Breslow is a huge reason why the pitching infrastructure is better in the organization right now, why all of a sudden they're getting better results out of these pitchers than they've gotten in years past. It's a lot of the same guys, but the results are significantly better. I think Breslow has something to do with that. He was praised for his work in Chicago, working with their pitching infrastructure across the organization. That was what he was hailed for that, and I think it's translated here. And Andrew Bailey, obviously, a massive part of that as well. Again, theme of the show tonight, I am a Bresbro. Andrew Bailey is my god. So I love Andrew Bailey so much, apparently, that I'm sitting there watching the Red Sox game last night, and this thought popped into my head. And I texted Mazz and I texted Stu this. Again, a 15-year-old Red Sox thought, Red Sox take, bringing it forward to today. I'm thinking about this philosophy. Red Sox pitchers throwing breaking balls and this and that. So I texted you, Stu, and I said, you know who I think would thrive with Andrew Bailey as his pitching coach? Daisuke Matsuzaka. Again, why do we care about Daisuke Matsuzaka 15 years later? Daisuke was a guy who loved throwing a lot of breaking balls, had a ton of breaking stuff coming over from Japan. And your guy, John Farrell, Jimmy, wanted Daisuke to throw his fastball more. Fastball cutter. The John Farrell philosophy. And I think they kind of ruined him as a result. Had Daisuke been in a situation where he had a pitching coach who was going to say, hey, no, actually, I want you to throw more breaking balls, the Andrew Bailey philosophy, don't rely on your fastball, throw breaking balls, throw them for strikes, get weak contact, I think he would have been more successful here. So that was a little thought that popped into my head last night. I don't know if you would have agreed with it or disagreed with it, Stu. It was just
it sounds right. I think what derailed Daisuke was he had arm issues after his second season in Boston. So I think that's really more what derailed him than questionable pitching, coaching, and selection. I just remember what a drag he was to watch. Oh,
brutal. I'm not saying I was a fan of watching him pitch because it was brutal, but he would have been better, I think, if he had the Andrew Bailey philosophy. So you just touched on something there real quick. You believe that Andrew Bailey is getting these pitchers hurt, correct?
I do.
Does that mean that you believe John Farrell got Daisuke hurt?
I'll go with that, sure.
Okay, so you are just
because it's blaming John Farrell for something.
You are consistent across the board. The pitching coaches are getting these guys hurt
100%
by changing their philosophy and all of that,
and the analytics people.
So that's a part of baseball, right? And I'm not excusing it, but pitching philosophies across organizations are so different. And they'll have guys change. They'll have them start throwing all this stuff. This is happening more in baseball than ever before. And I do think it's one of the reasons guys are getting hurt more. They're also throwing the ball harder than they should. Max effort, all that. You're putting all this strain on your elbow. It's not good, right? I mean, I understand it. But getting a consistent philosophy in an organization, a consistent philosophy that gets results the way that Bailey's has and the way that Breslow's has so far, I think that's massive. Tanner Houck is a perfect example of this. You and I were talking actually off the air about this, Stu. The way the Red Sox tried to completely change Tanner Houck when he came into the organization. He was a two-seam slider guy, which he is now. Sinker baller, slider, sweeper now in baseball, I guess. And they tried to turn him into a four-seam and curveball guy because that was their pitching philosophy and it was the organizational thing. And they almost ruined him. And the fact that Houck has bounced back from that and has developed into a starting pitcher in the big leagues is a lot of credit to him, because I didn't think he was going to get there. But it goes to show the importance of having a good philosophy in your organization, where it's not just, here's what you're going to do. You are automatically a four-seam and curveball guy. You don't throw anything else, which was their philosophy 4 or 5 years ago, and it nearly ruined Tanner Houck. Meanwhile, Bailey comes in and says, yeah, that's fine, but just throw your curveball more, throw your breaking ball, whatever it is, take a little off it and throw it for a strike and generate weak contact, because you're spinning the hell out of it in the first place, and maybe that's why these guys are getting hurt, but throw it for a strike. I just think it's a refreshingly simple philosophy. They're not changing these guys too much. They're not changing their arsenals. Maybe they did with Pivetta a little bit, and maybe that's a reason he got hurt. But it's more, hey, do more of this. Do what you've always done. Do more of it, and throw it for a strike. Tanner Houck, perfect example of that. Maybe you're getting them hurt. Maybe you are. But you're getting a hell of a lot more out of them than you would have before. I know Jimmy Stewart was quick to point out Andrew Bailey's gotten these guys hurt. Yeah, but would you get this much out of Cutter Crawford, Tanner Houck, Cooper Criswell, the guys that they're throwing out there? I mean, Josh Winkowski goes from being a reliever to a starter. You got 4 1/3 out of him today. They're going to go bullpen game in Minnesota here coming up. They're going to find a way to overachieve. They're going to find a way to patch it together and remain competitive here, I think, for part of the year. I think they'll get exposed eventually. I think they're going to finish around 500. I don't think they're going to be a playoff team, because that's ultimately where the talent on the roster puts them, maybe even a little bit below that. But the fact that you're here, the fact that you've had an 18-14 start to the year, you're 4 games above 500, and your pitching staff is the best in baseball, statistically, I mean, I'm sorry. That's a shock. That really is. And that's a credit to Breslow, that's a credit to Andrew Bailey, and that's a credit to what the Red Sox are starting to do at this point. They're getting more out of guys than they should. I'm a results-based guy. I don't like the analytics. I don't like the nerds. I just spent the last 5 years railing against that. But I like results more than anything else. So maybe I disagree with some of the philosophies. Maybe I disagree with the fact that you're bringing in an outside organization to audit your front office and do more analytics and more analytics. Do I hate that? Yeah, in general. Do I like it philosophically? No. But I like results. And I can't argue against the results that the Red Sox have had with the roster that they've had. All right, Mazz is back tomorrow. We'll have the baseball roundtable. Milliken will be in. I'll be in. Coming up.